Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to be covering Armor Mewtwo once more today because we actually have its stats, its actual stats and movesets in the Game Master file now, which has been found by a couple of people actually, which um they pretty much posted this on Twitter, and I saw this, and well, we gotta talk about. I figure we make an updated raid guide because there's a few definite changes regarding to Armor Mewtwo comparing to the regular Mewtwo. So today we're gonna be covering Armor Mewtwo one more time because we have some new stuff to go over, and Armor Mewtwo does release later this afternoon. So it's best to actually be ready because we do have some stuff to go over. So Armor Mewtwo is going to just be a pure Psychic type Pokemon. What you see here is actually that data that's been found in the Game Master file, and it shows the move sets. It shows Armor Mewtwo's new stats, actual stats that is, and then the moves here. So we're gonna go ahead and scroll right to here. But first off, as you see here, base capture rate is 0.06%. So I believe that should be 6%. I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be as hard to catch than most other legendaries, but still, it's always good to be ready just in case. So, yeah. So those are the new stats here, and then the new moves. So it has stamina is still at 214, base attack is 182, and base defense is 278. So its attack is much lower than normal. So it's pretty much as I figured. I figured what armor was going to be doing when it comes to Mewtwo stats. Like, a lot of people are definitely complaining about Armor Mewtwo being terrible, like their day has been ruined because of these stats and this information. And like there's people that's been saying like, oh, it's so bad, like why would you want to use this? Well, let me explain something. It's called Armor Mewtwo for a reason. If Niantic were to just release this Pokemon as Mewtwo with the same stats, I feel like that would just be a little too insane. That would kind of defeat the purpose of the term armored. Now, if you guys don't know, in the anime, Giovanni actually developed the armor for Mewtwo to suppress his power. Now, if you guys seen the Pokemon the first movie, you guys would know that the armor was there to try to surpass Mewtwo's power. Now, granted, I don't like the fact that they did severely nerf Mewtwo's offensive power, but at the same time, you gotta understand. Why they did this, because honestly, the armor is made to actually suppress Mewtwo's power. That's what they mentioned in the game. Like Giovanni said, it's to control his powers basically, because like otherwise it's like Mewtwo would just be so strong, it's ridiculous. And then the armor, which you guys know what armor does, is supposed to increase defense. And I had a feeling because I actually had a stream in which I actually did a live stream a couple days ago in which I was talking about Armor Mewtwo and what the armor could potentially do to Mewtwo. And it's funny enough that I was actually correct, and they actually did increase Mewtwo's defense with the armor. So with a defense of 278, like that's kind of insane. So I never would have thought that they actually would increase Mewtwo's defense that high and then decrease the attack. But then again, it kind of makes sense. Like, I mean, for me personally, I wish they hadn't decreased the attack so low. But at the same time, I kind of understand because obviously it's Armor Mewtwo. And then, like, if you guys watched the first movie, you guys will know that the armor was made to suppress Mewtwo's strength. So that's pretty much my thoughts on that. So, and then you see here, it has some new moves here. Confusion is kept Confusion, and then it has Iron Tail now, right over Cycle Cut. So I guess that's pretty cool. And then for charge moves, it has Rock Slide, Dynamic Punch, Earthquake, and Future Sight. So we're going to go ahead and actually take a look at Armor Mewtwo on GoHub, because now GoHub has information regarding Armor Mewtwo, and they also have made a raid guide, so we're going to go over that as well in today's video. So, but let me know what you guys' thoughts on Armor Mewtwo's new stats. Do you guys like them? Do you guys don't like them? And honestly, guys, the reason why it's like that is because obviously, like I said, if you guys watched the first movie, you would know that the armor was made to suppress Mewtwo. So that's basically how it is. I honestly don't see the problem. I feel like it's going to be fantastic in PvP. Like, obviously for those that don't do PvP, I understand why this is definitely a bummer, because it's not going to be that. It's not going to be a good raider at all. So I understand that. So, but for those that do PvP like myself, this is fantastic. This is awesome. So, without further ado, let's hop on GoHub and take a look at Armor Mewtwo stats at a full and do some quick comparisons. So, I'll see you guys there. Armor Mewtwo with a max CP of 3,181. Armor Mewtwo is a pure Psychic type with an attack of 182, defense of 278, and stamina of 214. There's no image on the screen because it looks like the sprite for it hasn't been released yet until later today. So, but we know pretty much how it looks like, so there's not really much of a big deal. So, as you see here, we're gonna go ahead and scroll down here to the weaknesses. It's pure Psychic, so it's still gonna be retaining the same weaknesses to Bug, Dark, and Ghost, and resisting Fighting and Psychic. So those are not changing. So, but what is changed, like I mentioned, is the stats that it has and then the moves that it has. So, excuse me. Let's go ahead and talk about that. So now, instead of Confusion and Psycho Cut, it now has Confusion and Iron Tail. So, Iron Tail is an interesting choice. It actually is pretty interesting because it actually gives Armor Mewtwo something on the fast type side to actually hit Tyranitar. I'm going to use Tyranitar as an example because Tyranitar is one of the best counters before to Armor Mewtwo because of his typing and being able to last the fight. But now that Armor Mewtwo has Iron Tail, it's actually going to do a bit more damage to Tyranitar. But the only thing I feel like that's not going to be the case is the fact that Armor Mewtwo's attack is so low. So I can understand why people are definitely upset because the attack is so low. Like, I feel like they should have let them maybe at least around a little above 200 because we're going to take a look at the DPS in just a second. But charging wise, we have Future Sight, which would have been fantastic on the other Mewtwo, but it is what it is. It's here. It's on this one. Kind of sucks, but it's all good. And then we have Earthquake, which is an interesting choice. Dynamic Punch, which honestly I didn't see that coming because I at first I didn't think that Mewtwo could even learn Dynamic Punch, but when I actually took a careful look, I looked on Cerebi in regards to Mewtwo, and apparently you can teach Dynamic Punch to it via an Emerald Move Tutor, or it could be other Move Tutors as well. I could be wrong. I believe that might just be exclusive to Emerald version. I could be wrong. So if you guys know that. If you guys know if that's just the case, if that's the only case, let me know in the comments. And then finally, it gets Rock Slide. So basically, with Dynamic Punch and Iron Tail together, Armor Mewtwo can definitely do some work against Tyranitar. Granted, Tyranitar can still rip through it with Bite, but Armor Mewtwo will be able to tank a lot better. So to some degree, but the only thing is that the DPS has drastically dropped. As you see here. It highly recommends Confusion Future Sight that does the most damage, the most DPS for Armor Mewtwo that is, but the damage is just not there. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing that kind of pretty much holds it back. So now we take a look at regular Mewtwo. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at regular Mewtwo. The regular Mewtwo maxes out at 4,178. It has an attack of 300, defense of 182, and stamina in 214. Now this goes back to what I said regarding Mewtwo's armor. Because this Mewtwo doesn't have the armor, its power is actually at its prime. Attack of 300 is fantastic. Defense of 182. So this has been kind of expected. So just like before, sorry about that, guys. Just like before, just like the other one, it also has the same weakness to Bug, Dark, Ghost, resisting Fighting, and Psychic. But as you guys see here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the DPS. It actually does a bit more on the damage there as well. But then again, that's with Shadow Ball. So let's go ahead and take a look at the moves and see if we can find Confusion Psychic, so you guys can get an idea. So yeah, it's actually not that much DPS as I expected, but it's definitely far better than the Armor Mewtwo. But as you see here, just with Confusion Shadow Ball by itself, it actually is doing a lot more damage. And Shadow Ball is not even a Psychic type move. It's a Ghost type move, but which is Legacy. But it's doing far more damage than the Armor Mewtwo in general. So you guys get the idea. Armor Mewtwo is definitely not going to be doing as much damage than regular Mewtwo, but it doesn't seem to be that far behind actually in terms of DPS. So because if we go take a look at the moves here, you see here with Confusion Future Sight, it's actually not that far behind. Well, granted, the damage is not as impressive. It's definitely nowhere near impressive because with an attack of 182, it kind of makes sense as to why people are pretty upset. We're pretty peeved off when it comes to this to the stats here. But at the same time, like I feel like it just makes sense just because of the armor, you know. So, but honestly, I kind of like this a lot, and that's just me personally. Like people, everybody has the right to their opinion, of course, but I like this because with Armor Mewtwo having such pretty bulky stats and also having some pretty sweet moves as well here for PvP, like dynamic punch. It has confusion, which is actually not that bad. Iron Tail, I haven't used the Pokemon that had Iron Tail in PvP yet, but with Iron Tail, it'll be able to hit Tyranitar pretty hard. Though granted, Tyranitar will probably still rip the Armor Mewtwo with Bite, because Bite is that good. But with Armor Mewtwo having access to Dynamic Punch, is actually gonna be able to do pretty well against those Dark types. Actually, so it's actually not that. I'm actually pretty excited for Armor Mewtwo in general. Honestly, now granted, it would have been nice to actually use it for raids, but I mean, I might still get one and max one up for raids. I mean, just to use it just for fun, but in general, I still think it's definitely pretty cool, honestly. Like, people may not agree, but you know what? Everybody does have a right to their opinion, and I feel like my opinion is that I think it's still pretty fun. I still personally could see myself maxing one in the future. I'm not gonna max one out right away, but I probably will in the future. So, but I probably will max one out as soon as if I get lucky. But anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at the raid, guys, so we can go ahead and properly prepare for Armor Mewtwo for this monster. So I will see you guys at the raid guide. Alright guys, so we are here on the raid guide here. Check out Armor Mewtwo. Looks like a monster. It's going to be a special tier 5 raid boss. Granted, if it's tier 6, the CP may not even matter, but if the off chance that it turns out to be a tier 5, the boss CP is going to be 41,299, and it's going to be available from today till July 31st. So we pretty much have the remainder of July to raid this Pokemon, to raid this raid boss here. And honestly, like, I love it. I love this raid boss, and it's definitely going to be a lot harder to take down than regular Mewtwo for sure. So definitely bring your best Pokemon. So the only good thing about this is that actually in raids, it's actually not going to be doing that much damage, especially if you use the right Pokemon. You're not going to be taking that much damage from it at all. You actually can stay in the fight pretty well, which we're gonna go ahead and talk about that right now here. So, well, let's go ahead and go over the IVs here. So 100% IV Armor Mewtwo, you're going to be looking for 1821, and that's going to be with no weather boost. And then if it happens to be windy, at level 25, you're going to be looking for 2732. Now, I'm not too sure if that's actually the correct number, but I could have sworn I saw a different number, but I'll check this out. I'll check this out as I go over this review with you guys. But with the weather boost, it looks like 2732 is the 100% IV. Otherwise, if it's not boosted, 18 to 21 is going to be the 100% IV that you're going to be searching for. So pretty cool stuff. And they also go into a little bit of a difference between Armor Mewtwo stats and then the regular Mewtwo stats. So normal Mewtwo does have 300 attack, 182 defense, and 214 stamina. So they both share the same stamina, but however in raids the stamina doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, when it comes to raids, usually you only have to worry about the attack and the defense. So, but we're focusing on Armor Mewtwo, so it's going to be more of a tankier Pokemon. So it's going to be it's not going to be doing as much damage, but it's going to be require more to take this thing down. So just so you guys are well aware of that. So we're going to go ahead and go over the moves one more time, so you guys get an idea of what we're going to be using. So Armor Mewtwo has access to Confusion and Iron Tail for the quick moves. For charge moves, we're going to be looking at Future Sight, Earthquake, Dynamic Punch, and Rock Slide. Now, in terms of the hardest moveset that to go up against in this regards, I feel like the hardest one, I feel like it depends on what your lineup is. Then you may struggle against one of the movesets that you may not have. A bit of a struggle, but I guess it depends on what your team is looking like, basically. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and go over some counters here. So, as mentioned, Armor Mewtwo is weak to Bug, Dark, and Ghost. So we're gonna be taking huge advantage of those weaknesses for sure, because that's going to be the best way to take down Armor Mewtwo for sure, to take advantage of those weaknesses and be able to just like go ahead and go into that stuff there. So first off, the best counter against Armor Mewtwo is going to remain to be Giratina and Gengar for sure. We have Giratina O, Gengar, Mewtwo, and T-Tar. Those are the top contenders. I feel like they're going to be performing really well. They go into a decent list right here in terms of Pokemon that's going to do well against Armor Mewtwo. But the top ones I feel like is going to be performing extremely well. It's going to be Giratina O. Gengar, I think, is going to be performing a lot better now because of the fact that Mewtwo actually is not going to be having as much attack than before. So Gengar will be able to survive the battle longer. And if Mewtwo happens to be packing that Dynamic Punch, Giratina O and Gengar are both going to be staying in the fight for quite some time. So Giratina O is definitely going to survive longer, especially if the fast move for Mewtwo turns out to be Confusion, which is going to be doing a decent amount of damage to Gengar, but it's not going to do a lot. It's going to do enough to where you have to try to dodge some of those confusions. But other than that, you know, if it's Iron Tail, then you're pretty much good. Gengar, however, has to watch out for Earthquake and Future Sight for sure, because those are going to be super effective on Gengar being Ghost and Poison, and Gengar is a bit of a glass cannon, so if it's Confusion Earthquake, I don't think Gengar could survive a hit if you don't dodge, so do keep that in mind. Giratina O, on the other hand, doesn't have to worry about anything. It's going to be taking very little damage from the Dynamic Punch, so it's going to be surviving the longest out of these Pokemon. And it can actually do well versus Future Sight as well, considering that Mewtwo is not going to be doing a lot of damage as we expected. And then it also has Earthquake, which is going to be neutral to Giratina, so Giratina should be able to be alright with that. And then Rock Slide won't be too bad on Giratina either. So Giratina O definitely going to be the #1 best counter against Mewtwo for sure, especially because it can actually take all the hits. But Gengar definitely is not going to be no slouch. It's just going to have more faith than Giratina, but Gengar is definitely not going to be a slouch for sure. So definitely don't count Gengar out for sure at all. Next up, we're going to talk about his Mewtwo here with Psycho Cut and Shadow Ball, which I actually do have 2 of those myself. Well, actually, I have a few, but I have 2 of them maxed out. This one is actually Mewtwo with Shadow Ball is going to actually be pretty good against Armor Mewtwo because it's going to be resisting the Future Sight, and it's going to be resisting the Dynamic Punch being Psychic type, and is neutral to Earthquake and Rock Slide. I think our regular Mewtwo is going to actually be performing pretty well. It's going to actually be a really good counter for sure. If you have a Shadow Ball Mewtwo, then congratulations. That's going to actually perform really well. Excuse me. Then we have Tyranitar with Bite Crunch. Now, Tyranitar, like I mentioned before, has to be careful for Mewtwo's new quick move, which is Iron Tail, because it's going to be super effective on Tyranitar being part rock type, because Steel is super effective on rock. And now Tyranitar also has to watch out for the Dynamic Punch and the Earthquake, especially for Dynamic Punch, because Tyranitar is quite weak to fighting, so do keep that in mind. But other than that, if the Mewtwo has Rock Slide or Future Sight, then Tyranitar is going to still be really good for sure. You just have to watch out for Dynamic Punch and Earthquake, because both of those moves are going to be super effective on Tyranitar, so do keep that in mind. Next up, we have Honchkrow with Snarl and Dark Pulse. Honchkrow is actually not a bad choice. It has to watch out for Rock Slide. It takes very little damage from Earthquake and Future Sight being Dark and Flying, and is neutral to Dynamic Punch. So it's the only Dark type that's actually neutral to Dynamic Punch. So do keep that in mind. It's actually going to be it doesn't have to deal with the weakness of taking a lot of damage. It's still going to take a decent amount of damage, but it's not going to be as bad. So keep that in mind. Honchkrow is going to be pretty good and because of that. Next up, we got Scizor with Fury Cutter X Scissor. Scizor is actually not a bad choice either. It's going to be able to resist both of Mewtwo's fast moves, and it's going to be able to resist the Future Sight while being neutral to Rock Slide, Earthquake, and the Dynamic Punch. So it's definitely not going to be bad for sure. So do keep that in mind on that one. Then we have Banette with Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball. Unlike Gengar, Banette does not carry that weakness, so Banette doesn't have to worry about Future Sight or Earthquake, because Banette is just pure Ghost. However, Banette is a bit of a glass cannon, so it's still going to have to be careful not to take too many hits. But other than that, Banette is going to actually be performing pretty well actually against Armor Mewtwo. So other than that, Banette is going to be fantastic. And then we also have Solomon's with Bite and Draco Meteor. So I kind of like this. However, Armor Mewtwo does have it to pack the Rock Slide, so you have to watch out for Rock Slide. So it's going to be super effective on Solomon's, but with that flying typing, Solomon's is going to take very little damage from the Earthquake, so it's going to be able to handle well. And it's actually going to be resisting Dynamic Punch too, being flying type as well. So that flying typing is going to be coming into play pretty well. And then it's going to be neutral to the Future Sight, but it's going to be taking super effective damage from the Rock Slide. But other than that, Solomon's not a bad choice at all either. So yeah, here's some other Pokemon that are actually going to be performing pretty well. We have they also go to talk about Weavile and Yanmega. Now Yanmega is definitely a fantastic choice, especially if Mewtwo does happen to have Dynamic Punch or Earthquake, as they list, as it doesn't list right here, but Dynamic Punch Yanmega is going to be fantastic against both Dynamic Punch and Earthquake because it is part bug and flying. So Earthquake's going to be Yanmega's going to take very little damage from the Earthquake, and it's going to be taking heavily reduced damage from the Dynamic Punch. So pretty good. So it's good to know for sure. Against Rock Slide, you can definitely sit there and use Gengar and T-Tar. I would definitely avoid using the Yanmega against Rock Slide because it's going to be quad read to that. So, but other than that, definitely not going to be definitely not going to be that. Definitely not going to be the I don't know. I was trying to find the right term to say it, but it's just not going to be. I just couldn't find it. But anyways, they also go in to talk about the movesets here, like the best Pokemon to use against which moveset. So T-Tar, fantastic. You can also get away with using Giratina against this as well for sure. So these are Pokemon going to be good against Earthquake. You can also use Rayquaza with Dragon Tail Outrage. If you don't have these, Rayquaza is also not that bad. Same with Dragonite. Dragonite has solid DPS for sure against them. Not the best, but most certainly not the worst if you don't have those other contenders. So against Dynamic Punch, you can also use those two as well. But there you go, guys. That's going to be it for this video. Armor Mewtwo is going to be releasing later on today. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys are still excited for Armor Mewtwo, you guys may not feel excited, but you know, I personally don't mind because it looks pretty sweet. It looks like a monster. I can't wait. And also, guys, Entei Raid Day is coming up on the 14th. I already made a raid guide talking about that. If you guys have yet to check that out, be sure to check it out. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. I apologize for this being super long, but it's best to always go into full detail everything, right? So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys next time. Take care.